myself and Usain Bolt are the only two athletes in history to...
On today's episode, how Akani Simbine became the fastest South African man in history and the mentality behind becoming elite.
Akani Simbine, he's been so close in so many global individual finals over the 100 meters.
As a sportsman, you kind of live in a fake world.
But Akani's journey hasn't been without its challenges. In 2023, he faced heartbreak, missing out on the World Championships final.
That would be a massive shame and a massive shock.
Semi-finals are harder than running a final because you only have one chance to make it in the top 8.
These setbacks could have stopped anybody, but Akani bounced back stronger. Facing his own battles with depression, he fought through adversity, marking a career milestone in 2024 by claiming Olympic silver in the 4x100 relay at the Paris Olympics.
For me, it's not being the best Usain Bolt or being the best 100-meter runner of all time, as being the best me.
Today's episode dives deep into the mentality behind this extraordinary athlete and how does that winning mindset apply to business, leadership, and life beyond the track. This interview is more than just a story of speed. It's a blueprint for greatness. Welcome, Akani Simbine. Welcome.
Good afternoon, good morning. It's afternoon, actually.
You don't have to be that formal. Akani, we're incredibly excited to have you here today. Thanks for making the time. I know it's a quick trip into Cape Town and we made it happen. We confirmed, I think, at 11 o'clock last night. So it was, I'm so glad we got it over the line. I think this is such an exciting opportunity to speak to someone who has built an incredible brand and presence in South Africa from an athletics perspective. And we're taking a bit of a different spin on this episode, as you and I discussed off camera, because generally we're talking to the CEOs of companies and business leaders. And today we're talking to someone who's achieved success in a whole different realm. And we're going to talk about how we take that mentality from the track and you bring it into the business realm as well, which is an exciting prospect. So once again, thanks so much for making the time. So I want to start with a little bit of your foundational years and growing up in Kempton Park. Can you tell us what life as a young Akani was like, and what about your childhood? What experiences really kind of made you the man you are today?
I think young Akani was, grew up in Kempton Park, and my parents grew up in a normal household, Both parents were around, they were working, part of the working class. My sister and I went to school. My sister's 5 years older than me. And so every time I got into school, she was leaving. So I got in primary school, she was about to finish her primary school and go into high school. Then when I got into high school, she matriculated. But growing up, I grew up as a young kid that just loved being active. I loved doing things and just being outside and just playing and just having fun outside, and that was me, I wasn't a kid that stayed indoors and stuff, and I remember Mom used to tell me that we had a long passage at home, and I always used to run up and down the passage, and she was just like, you need to stop running up and down my passage because one day you're going to fall and you're going to hurt yourself. And I didn't care, and I didn't know that was going to end up with me running down a track, running 100 meters. But yeah, I grew up as a kid that just loved being outside and enjoyed being active and running and playing sport. I did every single kind of sport that you can think of. Whatever sport that the school gave, I was there. Every term I was putting up my hand to do a sport. And my parents were so supportive of that because for them, it was, Akani's keeping busy. So when he comes home, he's tired, he sleeps.
Yeah.
So it was a good way for them to kind of get me to kind of cool down when I get home. But then at the same time, it developed me and taught me so many different skills about myself, so many different skills about life. And there's so many aspects of life that I've learned through sport, through school, through just growing up and being in a space where I'm allowed to be a kid. Yeah. I'm allowed to explore. I'm allowed to just grow as in my own pace and in myself. Because my parents didn't put any pressure on me, you know.
Yeah.
They literally just said, "I gotta go do whatever you want to do, but make sure you pass." That was the only thing.
How were you academically?
I was good. I passed, I did well, but I didn't put a lot of effort into my schoolwork, you know. Okay. And my mom was that thing. She always says to me, "I wonder how you passed because you never studied. You were just there the day before, reading. Then you go write an exam and you pass." And I was just like, "Hey man, at least I passed." You know,
we don't ask questions. We
don't ask any questions. I'm just giving you what you want, and that is for me to pass at school, which I did. But yeah, man, that's literally me, man. Growing up in Kempton, and also Kempton Park is an area where, you know, if you get caught up in the wrong things, it literally catches you and that ruins your life. I wasn't interested in that. As much as I was outside, I just was not interested in it. I was outside to enjoy being outside.
Yeah.
I wasn't outside to, you know, catch on, you know, nonsense and do naughty things and stuff. I was actually a good, well-behaved kid. And yeah, man, that's the young me. Yeah, I think that's the young me in short.
So you say, academically, it was all cool. And in terms of sports, did you gravitate towards more of the team sports or more of the, the stuff you're doing now, which is more individual, I suppose?
Team sports. I was always a team sport guy. You know, athletics, I was just, you know, in primary school, they make you do everything. So you run, do shot put at athletics.
Yeah.
But team sport, I played cricket, I played rugby, I played soccer.
Why do you think you gravitated towards team sport? I think for me, team sports are an incredibly important part of people's foundation, whether it's sports or cultural activities, whatever it is, because you get to learn how to deal with people under different stresses, different kind of environments. You create bonds, and I would think those are the kind of bonds that last longer than any other bonds as your teammates.
Yeah.
Why do you think you gravitated towards the team sports?
I think you mentioned it, you know, it teaches you how to be around people, it teaches you how to deal with people, it teaches you about people's interactions and how people react in different situations and how you react in situations with other people, you know, and you get so much growth in that. You get so much development as a human being, as a kid, as a sportsman, as just a normal person that's going day to day, doing a day-to-day life, you know, and you get to learn about different cultures. I think when I was growing up, I was in a mixed school, you know, and it was different cultures, girls and boys, everyone, you know, and you get to mix with different cultures. You get to understand different cultures. You get to, you know, see how one culture does this and another culture does this, but it all equates to the same thing, you know, and you find beauty in that. You know, I found beauty in learning about different people. I had friends of different cultures, and that was so cool for me. I used to visit them, and just see how their homes are like, see how their parents treat them, see how things are like, how they do things, you know, and that for me was cool. But it taught me so much about life and taught me so much about how we think that life is one way, but life can branch out in so many different ways, but it can literally end you to the same goal.
Were you winning the 100 meters and the 200 meters at school?
No, I was getting beat. I was literally getting beat. Yeah, I remember all the kids that used to beat me. There was one Kurtley guy that used to beat me all the time. There was Dylan. There was Gareth. You know, there were so many guys that used to beat me. I was fast, but I wasn't too quick, you know. And I was just doing it because of the fun of it. But then I wasn't taking it seriously. I took soccer very seriously because that was the dream.
Yes.
You know, that was a dream for me to be a football player. And I loved the sport. So the running part of it only became serious when I was like late teenager.
Okay. So let's talk about that. The soccer career, that's what you were aiming for. You got to semi-professional status, so you played in university, I think. What was, talk to me about that side of your life.
So my soccer career started off very young. Played club soccer, and that was my love, you know, and I got to high school and that was literally my focus, you know, club soccer, school soccer. Did the school soccer because I felt like, okay, it's going to give me fitness for, you know, for my club soccer, which is important. And 15, did the same thing. And then at the end of the 15 year, I got scouted by Black Aces. And they said, no, come play by us and, we can contract you and everything. And I'm just like, hey, man, I'm playing with older guys, so that means I'm going to get better. But I'm on my trail to becoming a professional soccer player.
Yeah.
And did that and whatnot, 16. And then in 16, my principal said to me, I hear you're very fast. You need to run for our school. And in order for you to play for the soccer team, you must run for the school. And I was like, but like, man, I just want to play soccer. Like, that's all I want to do. And it's like, no, if you don't want to run, then I'm not going to let you play. I'm going to keep you in trouble.
So were they trying to get up or move the status of athletics at the school, or what do you think that was?
They saw a kid that could run fast.
Okay.
And it was like, and they're also trying to push a lot of kids to athletics, because athletics wasn't a cool sport. Athletics was just it's just athletics, whatever, But now they're seeing me, I'm running fast on the football field, and like, oh, he has something, he has talent. Let's go see. Pushed the soccer, and then I got to a point where we were still playing for Black Aces, and then they were like, no, you should take this athletic thing really seriously. And I was like, nah, dog. Like, for me, I don't know about this athletics thing. This athletics thing is just, it's whatever you want it to be, but it's not for me. I still want my soccer. And that was my sport, man. I loved it. But looking back today, I'm actually glad that I decided with athletics.
So when did you make that decision? So you say like you were still, when they were pushing you, you were still resistant. You're like, soccer's my thing. I'm going to keep doing this. And then at some point you had to invest in athletics.
Matric. So, but it came like this because matric is matric. My mom is all about books. She doesn't care about sports. Sport is, it's extramurals to her. It's nothing, not that deep. And I was doing the club soccer, I was doing club athletics, I was doing school soccer and school athletics. And in matric, you don't have much time, and everything is just packed together. The year is just so full. And then my mom was like, you know what, Akani, you need to choose one thing. You can't be doing everything. Like, you need to choose one sport, focus on that one sport, and that will be fine, but you need to make sure that you pass this year. I was like, okay, cool, but I'm going to choose soccer. Then she's like, she sat me down, my dad also was there, and they were like, we know you love the soccer thing and you're really doing well with it, but with athletics, if you win, no one can take that away from you. If you are number one, you are number one. And with soccer comes with politics. It comes with a coach having to choose you. It comes with you having to work on someone else. Your results is dependent on other people. Whereas in athletics, your result is dependent on yourself. And after that chat, I literally went to sleep and then woke up the next morning. I sat them down and I'm like, okay, I'll give up soccer and do this athletics thing. Did not know where this athletics thing was going to take me. I didn't know like about the Olympic Games. I didn't know about World Championships. I didn't know about anything, right? And I just decided, okay, if I'm going to do something active, let me just I'll leave the soccer alone. And then just do this athletics thing. Then the year ends and I get chosen for the SA team to go to what's this competition called? The Zone 6 games in Zambia. This time, I don't have a passport. I've never been out the country. I've never flown in a plane. Now they're telling me, you're going to Zambia, you're going to do all these things. I was like, yo, okay, cool. I've been playing soccer for so many years. They've never put me on a plane. Never made me leave the country. Never did this for me. All right, let me take this thing and do it. Got to Zambia, broke the SA Junior record. And now there's this whole chat about me. Who's this Akani Simbine boy? Why is he running so fast? Where does he come from? No one knows about him. And I meet my manager, and my manager now explains like what the athletics world looks like, what I can do in athletics, if I look after myself, how the future can look. And I said to him, but like, can I travel? Like, will I get to go overseas and stuff? He's like, yeah. That's standard. You'll go overseas every year. You'll travel Europe every year, and those costs will be covered. I'm like, what? I get to go overseas and travel and I don't have to worry about it. He's like, yeah. I'm like, whew, let's do this thing, you know? And that's how I got into athletics. I just got into athletics because I could travel the world and see the world, not for the money, not for the medals, not for the wins. It was just the fact that I got to travel. And looking back at it and saying I actually chose a sport because I got to travel, it's actually crazy, you know?
So your driver then was getting the opportunity to see the world. What's the driver now? I mean, you said you want to be
the best, man. That's literally to be the best. For me, it's about being the best, but being the best me. It's not being the best Usain Bolt or being the best 100-meter runner of all time. It's being the best me. And if the best me becomes the 100-meter of all time, 100% cool, you know. But I want to be the best me, and that is what I do. And every time I come to training, you know, do the best training session that I can do in that day. Be the best athlete that I can be in that day. Be the best Akani that I can be in that day. And that is like a motto that I live by, you know. Be the best you, and show up at every time and every opportunity that you get.
Just going back to the conversation your parents had with you, I think that's incredibly, the word's not mature, it's like insightful conversation for your parents to have, to say they can see this road and where it's leading to with soccer, and they diverted you to something where you were wholly in control of your destiny.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think that's incredibly impactful. I mean, you know, when I played rugby in school, my parents didn't tell me to stop playing rugby because they thought volleyball was better. They were just like, we don't want you to get hurt, so can you just stop it, please? Do you think there was any element of like, oh, well, you know, soccer might take up a bit too much of your time and things like that? Or was it really just they saw the path and all the different entities involved in soccer, and they found that athletics was a better path for you?
I think my mom was just trying to get me out of being so busy with soccer.
Yeah.
So I can focus on my books. Because she was books.
She was like, athletics, you get on there, you run for 9 seconds, you're done.
You know, you get on there, you run, it's done, you know. And for her, it was more about, you know, he's still doing something. It's not as time consuming and strenuous, but he's still doing something. But his number one focus will be athletics. But that's what she thought, you know, like my number one would be books. But it wasn't. It literally switched like this and became literally track. Yeah.
Obsession.
Yeah, man. You grow an obsession. Like, you grow an obsession, but I wouldn't call it an obsession. It's more passion, man. And very passionate about the sport. And the fact that, like, I had to learn about the sport at such a late age. And the times that I was running then qualified me to go to the World Championships, you know. And it was in 2013 I went to my first World Championships. And I'm this kid that doesn't know anything about the sport, and I'm going to World Championships to represent my country. But I'm just like, okay, cool, you know. Now I start finding out about Usain Bolt, about Johan Blake, Justin Gatlin, all these names. And I'm like watching videos and I'm like, these guys are actually really hectic. Like, this is actually wild. Like, the people that actually do this and do it very seriously. I get to Moscow, I meet Johan Blake at the Adidas thing, at the Adidas event. I meet him, I'm like, okay, this is...
Were you sponsored then already?
Getting into it.
Okay.
Like, that was like our we're gonna talk about our deal there,
okay.
You know. And I meet him there, and I'm like, yo, okay, this is this guy. This is the second fastest man in history. All right, cool. Then we get to racing. I've never lost so bad in my life. Like, literally, it was in the first round heat. I was in heat 3, I remember, and Gatlin was in my race. I literally just saw a body fly that, like, phew.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
This is 100 meters.
This is 100 meters.
Yeah.
And I was like, no ways am I doing this thing. This thing is too crazy. How do people run this fast? Like, it just doesn't make sense, you know? And I kept watching. Then I watched the second round, then semi-final and final, because I didn't race. I was knocked out in the first round. When Usain won in 2013, I was like, there's no ways I'm leaving the sport. I want to get better. You know, I want to improve. I want to make sure that I'm getting better. I want to make sure that I'm there in the final. I want to make sure that I am fighting for a medal and I am doing well and running fast and running under 10, because that was such a big thing back then. You know, running under 10 is like a heavy thing, like a huge thing.
Yeah.
And that was the goal. And that's when it became serious. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do this thing.
So let's get into the world of athletics. You and I were speaking off camera. We said, like, I genuinely feel people don't know enough about the intricacies of the sport and the various sports within that. So, you know, it's quite interesting because when you described it now, you got in a plane and you went to Moscow and you were there for the World Champs. It doesn't sound like you had a lot of people around you. You didn't like have like a fully fledged team. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, when you watch the Olympics, the guys are walking out there alone. They're carrying their own bags. They're, you know, I know that that's on camera. It might be different, but talk to me about. Let's start from the beginning, where you know you did it a bit in school, and that gave you the opportunity to represent SA. How do you get into the sport, and how do you eventually get to compete in these competitions?
I think with athletics, it's pretty straightforward, you know. So you have your league meetings, which is just a local meeting in your area. Then you have your provincial meetings. You compete at your provincial meetings. And if you do well, you place top 3 in those meetings, then you'll go to your national championships. Then at your national championships, you either become the national champion or second fastest person in South Africa or third fastest person in South Africa. Then between you winning, there's also like a qualifying time that you need to run to qualify for the World Championship, to go represent your country. And if you run that, you'll go, you know, and with us, it's pretty straightforward. So you go through those ranks, you know, and you make sure that you run the qualifying time. Once you've run the qualifying time, it's easier for you to get into the teams now. You get chosen for the national team and you go out. But in order for you to prepare for the World Championships, you need to go to Europe to go race on the circuit, because there's a league. So now you get entered into a league. And in the league, it's the Diamond League, but it's 3 tiers. So there's Diamond League, there's a gold label, silver, bronze, and then just a normal league. And the Diamond League is the top league. You know, that's where everybody wants to go run. You know, and you run there, you get points over the year, and that league builds up to a final. You win that final, you win your Diamond League, you're a Diamond League champion. Go to World Championships. Now you compete at the World Championship stage. And it's also all about performance. If you don't run fast enough, you're not going to make it. If you don't run fast enough, you're not going to get invited to this league. So it's literally straightforward, but you need to be running the times. You need to be performing at that level. You need to be making yourself better and running better. And, you know, my running better does not just come from me just, you know, waking up and just running. It's a whole team that builds this. You know, I'm just the end product of it. The end product of like 6-7 people that put their heads together to make me run fast.
Yeah. You're the Formula One car.
Yes. That's how
team
we do
around
it.
you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you walk out there by yourself. And you're standing there, and all the work happens behind the scenes. How does it feel when you're out there? Talk to me about how it feels in different scenarios. So like you said, there's Diamond League, there's World Champs, there's the Olympic Games. It happens every 4 years. When you're standing out there in a final, what's going on in your head?
Final is crazy. Like an Olympic final, a World Champs final, it's crazy. And especially in the 100 meters, because 100 meters is the event that everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see who's the fastest man in the world.
Yeah.
You know? And you know that, you're aware of that. And the crowd makes you aware of that. And the crowd makes it like very known that this is the 100-meter final. There's an aura to that thing, you know? And when you step onto the track, it's literally you and 7 other people and 80,000 people watching you.
Yeah.
But you have to be in your head and be so focused that the 80,000 people are dead quiet, even though they are shouting their lungs out for you. The 7 people that you're running against are gone, invisible. Only thing that you're seeing is just 2 lines. And that's the deepness of it. And that's the mentality that you go into. And at the same time, you go into a zone where you have to feel like you're king. You have to feel like it's your domain. You have to feel like everyone else that's here doesn't matter. Everyone else that's here, if you had to go toe to toe with them, you would eat them alive. And that's the feeling of it, you know, because if you don't, your life's on the line. That's how you feel. And yeah, man, I enjoy that. I enjoy being in that element, you know, because it's just one place where it's just you and just someone saying on your marks, get set, go, and you have to put that race together.
So let's talk a little bit about the strategy that goes into there. I as the guys know, I love a bit of strategy. So there's a couple heats that happen before you actually get to the final, right? So you do the heats and then you do quarters, semis, and then you could make into the final. What's the general strategy around that? Because when you watch the content, the guys will talk about, you shut it down at a certain point. So, just because you didn't come first in all your heats doesn't mean you're not going to come first in the final because you shut it down 20 meters out, for example. So not specifically your strategy, but like just generally, like how does that approach work?
I think so in the heats, normally at the World Championship or is it the Championship, Olympics, World Champs, you'll have round one, which is for all the other countries that didn't have a qualifier, but World Athletics opens a slot for them to compete in that round one. Then 4 of those guys that make it through to heats. We get to the heats, like if you're in the top 10 fastest men of the year, heats, man. You're just going in just to show face because you have to just qualify. And you get yourself through, you get to the 60, then you shut it down, or you take it really slow in the beginning and you just gauge where you're at, just try not to, it's about not burning a lot of energy, just doing it as easy as you can, as possible, so that you can get to semifinals, and semifinals becomes now the real race, because semifinals is 3 heats of 8, and you have to, in that heat, you have to place top 2 to qualify for the final.
Yeah.
And in the semifinal, I say the semifinals are harder than running a final, because of the fact that you only have one chance to make it in the top 8 out of all 3 heats.
Yeah.
And for me, I make sure that when I get to semifinal, like I'm ready. Like it's showtime now. Like you're ready to race.
Different mentality.
Yeah. It's not that the one from the heat where I'm just like, it is what it is. I know.
Yeah.
Now it's not even I know. You have to know. You have to believe. You have to make sure you're warming up 100%. You must make sure you've done all your strides. You must make sure your body's ticking. Your body's hot, and the engine is ready. Because everyone wants to make the final. You get into the final, less stress, but now, out of 8 people,
now.
It's showtime, Out of 8 people, there's only 3 medals. So you gotta put yourself in a position for one of those medals. And that is now doing what you did in the semifinal, but giving a little bit more. And knowing that it's a one-shot race, and knowing that there's a lot on the line here, and you are ready to, give it your all.
And what's the kind of mental games that go on at that start line? I mean, I've watched lots of videos, and guys say some people play mental games, even if it is them just coming out with tons of energy, like the no allows mentality, jumping around, psyching guys out around you. I mean, it sounds like that stuff will never affect you.
Yeah,
but
man. Like for me, there's a lot of mental gamemanship that's been played, from the heat, from actually the warm-up track, from actually before the warm-up track when we're in the hotel, there's the everyone is like, people try to stay you down, someone while you're eating, someone will just try to stay you down. It's like, bro, like I'm just having a food, like what must happen now? Like, we're not gonna fight, bro, like really, relax. And then there's guys that like will make a noise while in the warm-up area, sing their music loud. You know, there's guys that try like walk into you and just shoulder nudge you, you know. And then when you get into the core room, it's also fighting the same thing. People stare you down. People just make some noises. They growl in the warm-up area and just do weird things, you know. And for me, I'm just that guy that's just chilling, you know, waiting, listening to the announcer, just chilling, get myself ready. And then when I say, okay, guys, get ready, now we're going to the track. You get onto the track. You have your guys that go run on the track, jumping around and everything and making the loudest noise and screaming and all these things. But it doesn't affect me because I'm so zoned in and tapped into what we need to do now. And that's your way of doing it. So I'm like very aware of other people, and you know who you're racing against and you know what to expect from them. Yeah. You know who the showmen are. You know who the people that make a noise are. You know the people that are trying to like take up a lot of space when they are setting up their blocks and stuff. You kind of know those things. So, and I'm aware of that. And I being aware of that allows me to kind of like not let it get to me. It's just, I'm just focused on what I need to do, and that is to just get myself ready and mentally in the race and just get out the blocks and run.
Do you study your competitors?
Study in what way?
You said you know pretty much where you're going to get to the final, and you know pretty much who's going to be there.
Yeah.
Do you do any?
Not particularly say study. You just know what the athletes or the top athletes' strengths are. Like a Christian Coleman, we all know his start is really good, you know. And there was one time when I raced Coleman and he got out and coach said, just let him go. You'll catch him at 70 meters. And Christian, I let him go. I started reeling him in. 70 meters, passed him. And it worked out, you know. And like Noah has a top end speed. He finishes really strong. You know, Fred has a good balanced race. You know, at Jacobs has a really good start, you know, and those are the things that you kind of know about the athletes, but you don't really need to study. It's just like, okay, this one does this. But I have my race pattern that I just need to make sure that I'm following my race pattern, because I cannot change my race pattern because I'm racing with a fast starter or a top end finisher, you know, or a good middle runner. It's literally my race pattern that I need to make sure that I'm putting together perfectly so that I can get to the line first.
Did you run your best race in the 100-meter final?
Yes, I ran a PB, 982, man. I think that I can't ask for more. I ran a national record in that final. I ran my PB in that final. So that was, for me, my best race so far, you know. But we know where we need to work on. We know what we need to do. We know the point that will get me that 0.04, you know, to get into the 9.7s, to get into a position where I am winning, I am getting a medal, you know, and we know what we need to do for that, you know, and that means, you know, getting better and getting faster, and I'm keen for that. I'm ready for that, and I'm looking forward to the next year, you know, and it's a year of growth again that I'm looking forward to.
So talk me through the feelings when you crossed the finish line. So it was just missing out on medals, so there's a feeling that happens there, but then, like you say, national record, fastest man in South African history, there's that angle as well. So what were your emotions like when you crossed the finish line?
So this year was a bit different, you know. I was very happy, like crossing the line, and the thing is, we also all didn't know who won because the race was so tight. We were all just sitting there waiting, and you just said all our names, and this is the first time it's ever happened. Normally it's just they know who won and they put them out quickly, and then everybody walks away. Now it's just had all our names on the board saying photo, and I literally sat on the track and I was looking at the board, and I saw the names pop up, and I was like, fourth again, you know. And I was like, oh, but I ran a national record, you know. I ran 982. These guys, it was just literally, I missed out on the medal by 0.01. Yeah. That is nothing, like not even a nail, you know. That's nothing. And I was like, okay, like I'm actually happy, you know. I'm fine, I'm good, I'm happy with my race. I ran my best race that I could run, and I was in the final of the Olympic Games. and that's all I could give. So I need to be happy with that.
Yeah.
4 years ago, I finished fourth in Tokyo, and it led me into depression. It led me into wanting to quit the sport and not wanting to do the sport, and that was a very big turning point in my life, because I had decided that I had built myself around athletics. My identity was track. My identity was a 100-meter sprinter. There was no other Akani outside of that. And when I did not achieve what I wanted to achieve in the sport, and I got sad, that I had nothing else to fall back on. I had no identity to fall back on. And that's what led me into the depression. That what led me into me doubting myself and not wanting to do athletics anymore, and not feeling like, I'm worthy or I'm supposed to be here, and worked on that, did therapy, and worked on myself and worked on myself as an individual and a human being. And then I could fill into the athlete. The athlete would be there because I had to still run. But that 2 years I was running as just someone that's trying to find himself and fix himself. Got to 23, which was last year. I got disqualified in the semi-final. I was in the shape of my life. Like, literally, I was in really, really great shape.
Do you think that was literally just a fluke, or was there some sort of mental?
No, it was a fluke. It wasn't even a mental thing. I think me getting disqualified, I had ran the reaction. So I didn't jump the gun. I just left too quick after the gun. So we have this rule where they say that no human can react 0.1 faster than the gun.
Yeah.
And I had reacted 0.08. Yeah, 0.08 after the gun. And for them, according to the rule, I'm under the threshold. So it's a false start, and I respect the game. I respect the rules. I accepted it. I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I get it. But I did not false start. I just reacted too quickly, and that was a sad moment, but I got over it really quickly. I was like,
but you were over the depression at that
point. Yeah. I was at that point. I was over the depression. I had found myself. I had fallen in love with myself, and I was fine. Like, I was good, and the disappointment from the false start kind of was like a test. I think like for me, it was a test to see if I can handle disappointment in the game and how I'll bounce back from that, because consistently over the years, I've been there. I've been going to the finals. I've been making finals. I've been placing top 5. Since 2016, I've been in the top 5 fastest men in the world.
Yeah.
This 1 year, I'm not in that list. And because I false started. But then I said to myself, it's okay. Like, it is what it is. Next year's Olympics year, and I'll make sure I get it better, and I make sure I come back stronger. My head into the year was 100%. I came in positive. I came in saying that, you know what, it's fine. I'm going to run this year. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to come with a positive spirit. I'm going to come lighter and just enjoy running, because we lose this element of fun with sport when you become professional. You become professional and the fun disappears.
Yeah.
And that is
why is that? It's because you're fighting for sponsorship. You're fighting for.
I think
it's a job.
It's a job now, and you're fighting to feed yourself. You're fighting to put food on the table. You're fighting for your legacy. You're fighting for your name. You're fighting for your country. You're fighting for yourself and your family. And there's so many things that you are fighting for to make sure that you actually are there. And the fun part of being a sports person, the fun part of playing flies away, it drifts away, and you don't realize when it does that. And this year I was very intentional about, hey man, just go out there and have fun. Go to training and have fun. go race and have fun, because at the end of the day, I don't want to leave the sport and say that I did not enjoy myself while I was running, while I was doing an active physical activity where people are laughing and smiling. When you're a kid and you're running against the kid next to you, you're beating the kid, you guys are all happy. Yeah, whatever, let's go run again, you know? Now, it's all serious. It's all no smiles. It's unhappiness, you know? And that for me was something I did not want to tap into this year. And when I had placed fourth, I think my happiness came from the mentality that I came with this year. And that was so powerful for me. And I'm so grateful for that.
I just want to take a step back and actually talk about the team side of things. So you said like there's a lot of people that work on the engine to get you to that point. Well, what is the team structure like, and is there an element of psychology there as well? So do you work with a psychologist?
Yeah. So it's like a pyramid. So at the top of me. So I am what they are building at the top, right? Then that's my coach. Then my coach now, he controls.
Like head coach.
Yeah. He's my coach. Then my coach filters down to my strength and conditioning trainer, to my physio, to my chiro, to my dietitian, and to my doctor. They then work with me, but they go through coach. You know, what was coach's training program doing to the body now? It's a whole communication thing. Then how do we fix that? How do we make it good? How do we make Akani perform well? How do we put him in the best position to go to training recovered? How do we make him mentally good? And my therapist would also communicate with my coach. How was Akani at the track today? How was he? How is he doing? Is his energy good? You know, and when I see her, she'll also ask me like those things. How's everything going? You know, and it's literally a whole team that filters to one person. You know, and then my manager, he controls, you know, all the admin things, you know, and the races and getting me ready and finding me deals and all these things. But to make me primed and ready, race ready, it's those guys that are working with me, working my body, working with my mind, just to make sure I'm racing fast.
The point you made around, going through that bout of depression and not believing in yourself almost is very interesting. And this is where I want to bring it into the business world, because there's a lot of people who experience similar things in that context. And what you said that was really interesting was around like knowing yourself and being confident in yourself and your own abilities. And it's that whole thing where it's like you versus you, and then you comparing yourself to other people, and how when you measure yourself against others, it can lead to that you doubting yourself and having like imposter syndrome and things of that nature. And you said you moved yourself into a space where it was basically you versus you, and you believing in yourself again, and knowing that if you put your best out there and you've done everything you can to get yourself, in this case, prepared for the track, and you run your race, then it's your race, and whatever the outcome is that's what it is, right? And that has a real translation for people, like in a working sense, where they come in and they go, oh, you know, like my manager doesn't like me, or like I'm not doing this right, I'm doing that right. But if you know that you've done your absolute best, there should always be some level of peace knowing that, well, that's enough. And maybe I'm not supposed to be in that situation, or maybe I need to step out because that's not the right area for me, because I've done my absolute best and you found it wasn't good enough. But ultimately, if you're confident that you've done whatever you can and you've prepared and you sorted yourself out, then you can't have a problem.
Yeah, I think in life, like life nowadays just wants you to give. You have to give the whole time. And even if it's not your best, it still wants you to give. And you might find in situations where you're giving and you can't give, but now it's at a point where you are not receiving what you thought you would have received from what you gave, you know, and that now makes you doubt yourself. That now makes you say, but am I worthy enough? Am I good enough? All these questions about yourself, where at a point it's like, dude, all you had to do is just take a break, rest, you know, switch off, just let your mind recharge, let your body recharge, because once you have recharged and once you have done what you need to do for yourself, you are able to feed into other things better. You're able to make other things shine the way they're supposed to shine. Your goal or what you need to do, your task, will come out the way it needs to come out, you know, and it's all due to the fact that I believe that it's all due to the fact what's inside, what's happening inside. Like, you might have a project with a team project, you know, and you may feel like you're not able to give what the team needs at that point, you know. I personally believe it's okay to talk about it and say, I'm not really geared up for this right now, but I am working on myself so I can be there, you know. And a lot of people don't want to say that. A lot of people are afraid of looking weak, and I don't think it's a point of weakness. It's a point of strength, because you're trying to refuel the battery, the inner battery that is going to benefit X, Y, and Z. And for me, that is the most important thing, you know. Fill yourself and make sure you are good. Make sure that you are able to feed and plow into the next by your goodness and what is filled by you.
So firstly, just to jump back to the 100 meters, actually, so you said you were satisfied with what you achieved in that race. 4th place, you were so close to the medals. And interesting, I don't know if you ever get to watch that race back with commentary, right? But the commentators are literally like, Akani, we just want you to get a medal. Like, you're almost there. You've been here. Like, how do you feel about that?
Man, the whole track world wants me to get a medal. You know, the track world knows how much I've been there for track and what I've done for track, and how close I've always been to a medal, and always consistently being in a final, always consistently challenging for a medal, but just missing out the whole time, you know. Since 2016, I've just been missing out, you know, and everyone was saying to me, we want you to win a medal here. We want you to get a medal here. We wish this for you, you know. And even the commentators, like, he comes a long way with me, man. He's been part of the circuit since I started, you know, so he's seen the growth, you know. I am the one sprinter that I'm the most consistent sprinter in the last decade, you know, and I've run sub 10 consistently for 10 years. Myself and Usain Bolt are the only 2 athletes in history to have made 3 consecutive 100-meter Olympic finals and placed in the top 5. And that is something that is not a lot of people, no one has done by myself and Usain, you know. And everybody on the track knows that, you know, and they know the work that I put in for the sport. They know what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to achieve for my country, you know. Like, that's something I always talk about, and I always say that, like, I want more South Africans to be on the line with me. I want more South Africans and Africans to be running against the other countries and showing other countries that you may come from a third world country, but you can still compete against the countries that have everything. You may beat them as well. And that has been my chat since the beginning. And it's been something that I've always been pushing. And a lot of people have been saying that, like, I've been a pioneer of sprinting in South Africa. And that is something that I'm very proud of, you know. And I've also let a lot of people see that, you know, there's something in South Africa. There's something in Africa. And Africa is not just about long distance. It's also sprinting. These guys can actually run fast, you know. And for me, that's been a great thing and a great thing to have.
So let's talk about that. You say that you know, South Africa and Africa can produce some great sprinters, and we can be competitive with the likes of the USA and Jamaica as well. What element or what impact does the infrastructure have to do with that in terms of the development? I mean, again, you and I were speaking about this earlier, like from youth and development from you think about like Bill Bauman and like the Nike founders, for example, and like it was all about track and field. It's huge in the US. So there's obviously a level of development that comes with that in terms of people constantly being coached and trained in the let's call it the right way to get to the point where they can be competitive in the sport. And what needs to happen in South Africa to get our athletes to that level consistently?
I think the one thing is South African athletics is not funded, and it's not about the federation, it's just the athletes. They just don't have the funding to improve themselves. The coaches don't have the right equipment. We don't have equipment that the other countries have, and this is the equipment that is used to make athletes better. And as South Africans, our infrastructure is not up to the structures of the US, the Netherlands, the Englands, the European countries, even the Asian countries, they build systems, they support the athletes, and we don't have that. It's in South Africa, it's all about you have to figure out how to make sure that you get onto the circuit. You have to figure out how to make sure that you have access to things that not everybody has, and it's up to you to make sure that you're running fast, and the money that you make on the circuit, I take the money that I make on a circuit and I let you save it for next year, because I know I'm going to need it to travel. I know I'm going to need it to travel with my coach, travel with my physio. And that is a cost and an expense, which the other countries don't face. The other countries have tech, tracking tech, tech that helps you recover. We don't have that. We don't have access to that. And that's where we now fall to the side. And those are the things that if we get access to that, you'll see a whole lot of other athletes coming out, a whole lot of other athletes challenging and running fast on the world circuits and doing so well. But I think we're not part of an organization, It's athletics is an individual sport. Soccer comes from an organization. The teams have funding, they have money, they look after their athlete, their players. Rugby is a union, looks after their players. With athletics, it's you, your coach, and whatever you decide to build around that.
What would it take for you to be the fastest man on the grid? What would it take for you to take out Keishane, Noah Lyles?
Hey man, I think it's just doing what we did this year, but then just getting access to some of the machines that we use. So we were on camp this year in this place called the OIM Center, and they have all the tech that coach dreams about having, and we got to use that for 6 weeks before the Olympics. And in that 6 weeks using all that stuff, I went to London to race the last Diamond League of the circuit. I ran 986. Went to Olympics, came down final 982. And that was literally just from 6 weeks of prepping with the right stuff. These are the Keishane, the Noahs, the Freds. They have those things. They have access to those things. So it's literally just getting access to those things and being able to run and train without stresses of, hey man, I need to think about how I'm going to get to the next meet, or how I'm going to get to this place, or how I'm going to pay for the accommodation, or how am I going to be able to pay for my physio to get there, because I need my physio to be with me. Those are the kind of things that we think about. And if I don't have to think about those things and we have all access to the equipment that we need, that can get done.
So some of the guys just going back to the 4x100, they don't train in South Africa, right? Like Sean doesn't train in South Africa, right? So are there places where, so firstly, how did he get to, where does he train? In the USA,
Houston.
right?
He was studying,
So he's studying there. So he does get access to that kind of stuff. So that's one of the gateways where people can get that kind of access as well.
Yeah, people can, like, I think it's going to the American system. You go to the American college system, but I'm not a big fan of it because that system is not made for South Africans. It's not made for other nations but Americans. Okay. And I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. NCAA's developed so many great athletes, but for us, it's not really great because the system of the college system only gets you ready for the college races. You run college races until April and you are finished in April. That time, from May, the actual season starts. Now, you've done all you need to do. You've peaked and everything. Your body's tired. You need to rest. But now the actual season's starting. 3 months, 4 months down the line is a championship. You're done by then. And that's where we lose a lot of our athletes. A lot of athletes go there, they get an education, which is really, really great. I'm advocate for that. But your athletics will suffer. And we've seen that time and time again with different athletes that go there. The athletics does suffer and they will run fast for their unis, but once it's time to get onto the circuit and once it's time to represent the country, they don't bring it back.
And the reason for that is?
It's just over racing. Yeah, they race so much between January and April, and their training programs are tuned for them to peak in April. Once they peak in April, the body's done. It's tired. It doesn't want to do anything. That will not give you. Once the body's tired, it won't give you. And racing takes a lot of mental toughness and mental energy. And by the time I think they probably would have ran, by the time it's NCAA champs, close to 30 races. And that's a space of 4 months, And if you're running so many races in such a little time, by the time you get to September, when it's championship time, your body's not going to give you. It's not going to give you anything. And with us, I race 6 times, 7 times if it's a lot a year. Then I go to championship, and sometimes coaches say, no, we're just going to race 5 times and you go to championship, you race other 2 after.
Yeah.
And that's me, Now, the NCAAs, you have 30 plus races in your legs before you come to the circuit. So it's not primed for us. It's not made for us. Their focus is literally on get the college points, make the college win the NCAAs, and it's done for.
So you say they develop some great athletes, but they really struggle with the men's 4x100, and they got a lot of heat for it this year after a few times of let's call it fumbling it. Let's talk about the South African experience in the 4x100. So you had quite a young team. Was there any prep firstly that went in between the 4 of you beforehand? Did you guys get an opportunity to train and practice?
Yeah. So we had a camp in the beginning of the year. And then we had a camp just before Olympics at Montpellier just to kind of sort things out and get, exchanges done. And the guys were ready, It was just unfortunate that Benjamin, the other athlete, he got injured in the 200. So he was supposed to run the backstretch where Sean ran, and Sean was supposed to start. Okay. So that was the original plan. Sean to Benji to Bradley to me. Then Benji got injured, so now we had to slot in Bayanda, the kid. And we then had to switch over Sean into the backstretch, then Bayanda to start because it's the shortest bend.
Yes.
It's the shortest distance that you're going to run. The start will always run the shortest distance. And all he had to do was just make sure he gives it to Sean. And Sean had to make sure that he runs the heck out of that far stretch and give it to Bradley. Bradley just had to make sure that he just runs, gets the baton, doesn't drop it, because we have bad luck with that exchange over. Always drops there or doesn't make it.
Yeah.
And Bradley just makes sure he just gets the baton in the zone and gives it to me in the zone. And then what I had said was that if you give it to me in a fighting spot, if these guys are like 3 meters ahead of me, 4 meters ahead of me, I will catch them. You know, and that was what had happened, you know. I don't think it would have happened if we didn't practice together. We didn't have those camps together. And having those camps helped because it put us in a position to be comfortable with each other and to trust each other. And the guys got a lot of confidence in us coming off of running well in the hundreds. So myself, Sean, and Benji. And then Benji got hurt. Then I was like, okay, but let's still go. We know what we can still do with this thing. And yeah, man, we did well.
What do you think would have happened if Benji was still there?
Won.
You would have won.
Yeah, I think we would have gotten a gold.
Even without Benji, I mean, Bayan did a great job. And I think what was interesting from let's call it the layman's perspective of watching from the TV screen quite a few times, I didn't see Coleman that far ahead of him. Was that the reality though?
No, he moved. Coleman moved. Like Coleman will eat up that bend. He always does, you know. But it's just keeping in contact with him, you know, just to keep in contact with him, because if you can keep in contact with him, the back stretch will close it a bit. The bottom bend will close it a bit, and then I just have to close the most. But I can do that, you know. And Coleman just moves, man. We all know he moves. Everybody knows he moves, and it's just a reality. You will not hide that. You will not even lie about it. He runs.
So what happened to them? So just literally swapping Kenny in was the...
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened. They all know that. That shouldn't have happened. Kenny should not have come in. They should have just ran the exact same team they ran in the heat.
Where would they have finished?
Oh, they would have won.
They would have won?
Yeah, they would have
100%.
definitely won. Definitely. If they don't drop it, because America always drops it.
Yeah.
But they would have won. Yeah, it's easy. They would have. That was theirs to take, literally.
So the reality, I think, is that no one saw South Africa taking that.
Yeah, no one saw us because our team didn't have experience. We didn't have that experience. The experienced guys was just myself, and everyone thought, oh, it's just Akani, and then just these kids that we don't know, you know.
What was your confidence level?
I was just said, guys, let's just run, get through the heat, and let's see what happens. We got through the heat, we won, and then I told the guys, okay, let's just watch the second heat, because that's where it's stacked. You know, Jamaica was there, USA was there, Canada was there, Japan was there, China was there. You know, and those the stacked team, the Italians were also there, and watched it, and I saw America win. I was like, okay, this doesn't matter. They don't matter right now. The second team finished on 38-2, and we had ran 37-9 in the heat. So I was like, what? Okay, now that puts us in second, you know? And if anything can happen with the Americans, so we can't count them in right now. Anything happens with the Americans because they always find a way to just mess it up. Lord and behold, they mess it up. And I was like, yeah, it's actually in it for us. I saw the mess up. I saw it, like when they were coming down, I saw, okay, they didn't get it in the right changeover. So it didn't happen for them. So it's on now. I didn't see Canada. And then I was like, okay, cool. Canada's had a distance to us, but I knew me and the girls can go head to head, you know? So that was the whole picture. That was how the picture was painted then.
You would have caught the grass. Like if you had
if
10 more meters.
Not even 10 more meters. I think if Bradley didn't change his hands, because he adjusted the stick in his hand.
Yeah.
And when you're adjusting, you're changing the body movement, and that takes time away from you. If Bradley didn't do that, and if we just got a little bit off of the backstretch from Patu, we were in it. But that is experience, you know.
Yeah.
Now the guys have confidence in the relay. So now, you know, there's that hunger now to say, okay, we just have to fix a little bit of things here, clean up here, then we're good to go.
And what role are you playing in those young athletes' careers at the moment? Do you get an opportunity to play a bit of that mentor to them?
Yeah. I try a lot, I try a lot to just talk to them and just try, like, show them the way, I've been in this career for a while now, and I've learned good and I've learned bad. I've learned how I would want to do things if I could go back in time, and I want to share that to them, and the guys know that. And I always tell them, guys, if you want to talk to me, come talk to me. I'm not like this person that's not going to share anything with you, and I'll tell you whatever you want to know about the world, and just come to me. And that's what they do. Bradley comes and talks to me, Bayanda comes and talks to me, me and Sean talk a lot, and those are people that, like, I want to give, to, because I see the talent in them. I see what they can do. I see that they have the talent. They just need to just get a little bit groomed and, led in the right direction, and they should be fine.
I mean, firstly, you had your work cut out for you for that last leg of that race, right? You had to overtake, I think, 3 people, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we were laying 5th when I got it.
Yeah. And you must know how South Africa was screaming at that point when you overtook them. But the reality is you crossed the line second place, and you got this guy over here. I was going to grab. I'm going to give it to you, actually. How did that feel?
I mean, amazing, man. Like,
you can't tell me you weren't ecstatic about that.
I was, I was very happy with getting the medal. I was very happy with making, history for South Africa, but also just finally getting a championship medal. It might have been relay, but it was still a championship medal, and it meant so much to me that I could anchor the team into a medal. And coming from 5th to 2nd, that's a big deal. But it's so great that I can call myself now an Olympic medalist, and I know I'm deserving of it, and I know that it's something that I've always wanted. But at the same time, it's like, this is not the end for me. This is not how my story finishes. Now I got the Olympic medal, now I must just call it quits. No, for me, it's more about, I put this away and I get back to training. I get back to working on my craft. I get back to making sure that I am a better racer. I am a cleaner racer. I am a faster racer. That when I get to the circuit next year again, I'm better, I'm stronger, I'm faster. And that for me is the next goal. I've literally also tapped out of this. It's done. It's happened. I'm grateful for it. I'm happy for it. But it's part of my story and part of the past now. Now we work on to the future. We work on to what I can do to make myself better, what I can do to put myself in the best position to make sure that I can get an individual medal, and put myself in the best position so I can try my best to get South Africa a relay medal again.
What does winning mean to you?
Winning is being content. Winning is being happy. Winning is being positive, and winning is growing, and winning is growth. Like, those for me, that's what winning is. It's not the end goal. It's not getting the medal. It's going through the journey and not giving up. Going through the journey and being consistent in your fight, whatever fight that might be. That is what winning is for me. Waking up every day, doing what you need to do. You might see it as a small thing, but it's being able to do what you need to do. That is winning. Being able to take a step forward, that is winning. Moving forward is winning. That for me is winning.
So I want to take a step back and let's get into your business side, because there's Akani the sprinter and there's Akani the businessman, but there's a big crossover in terms of mindset there. So talk to us a bit about your business first, and then I want to talk about how you take that elite mindset from the track into your business venture as well.
So I am a co-owner of a company called Back Sports. We do production and broadcasting for sports activities, mainly school sports now. And A lot of the things that you see on Super Bowl schools is us, that we are shooting and everything. But I think my elite mentality going into the business has always been, always give your best and make sure you're giving quality in whatever you're doing, because quality will bring results. It's not about the quantity. If you get quantity, cool, you're going to slack off somewhere, and the quantity, that slack is going to end up causing a big fall, and it's going to just ripple down and it's going to mess you up. So I always tell the guys, always just give quality and make sure we're always doing quality and taking quality, not about quantity. And that is something that we do in the track. Coach won't say you need to do 10 150s at 15 seconds or 14 seconds. It doesn't make sense. He will tell me, okay, we're in a quality session time. Today, I want 3 150s, and you got to give them at a quality time, 14.5, 14.3. That's what he wants. And I feel like that is a way a business should run. It's a way that you feed into yourself, but you feed into the business and make sure that it's always the best that's getting given to the business, so that the business can give back to you.
So how did you get into this business?
I got into the business through the guys that were actually started the business. They actually were there and doing it, and I was like, hey, guys, let me actually join in. I appreciate what you're doing, and I'm very fond of what you're doing, because at that point they were just trying to put athletics on YouTube,
Yes.
And then I was like, no man, let's actually do this thing and let's grow it together and whatnot, And we've grown it to a point where it's not just shooting athletics, it's shooting all sports. And the whole idea behind the business is, yes, we are doing broadcasting, we're streaming, we're shooting, but with the high unemployment rate in South Africa and with athletics, a lot of kids can't get into schools because they can't afford it, and they can't get jobs because there's no jobs. So we have this motto in our business saying it's for athletes by athletes, and we look to employ athletes to give them a skill in the world of broadcasting, in the world of streaming, in the world of cameras, in the world of everything that we do, so that they learn the skill, they may earn a salary, and they will be able to take that skill and go to the next place if they want to, And that for me is a very important thing, because the business works as a business, is doing well for itself, but at the same time, it's empowering so many young athletes and so many young people, men and women, to go and learn something and get a skill and hopefully take it to the next level, and use that skill to empower their families and feed their families and do well for themselves.
That's amazing. Do you have any stories of kids and athletes that you've helped through the business?
Yeah, man. There's been this one kid. He once told us that we literally kept him away from continuing to be a thief. He was an athlete, but so that he can get through the day, he would steal things and go sell it and buy food. And he came to us looking for a job. We gave him an opportunity. He shined at that opportunity, and we started paying him. And he literally said that he's never touched another thing before. He's able to feed his family now, and he's just so happy because he doesn't have to do wrong things just so that he can feed himself. And that for me literally just changed my world, because it's just like, bro, as much as we're trying to do so much good, I didn't think it was going to be like that. We literally changed someone's life by just teaching them a skill and helping them grow, and that is amazing.
Knowing how hard you drive yourself from an athletics perspective and drive your team, does that translate to the business side? Are you the driver in that business?
Yeah. I'm the driver to the top end of the business. I make sure the guys at the top are just making sure that they are on it, and I always try communicating with the guys that are working at the bottom. You say, guys, you actually just keep on doing it. I firmly believe that I need to be in contact with these people, the people that are actually working on the ground, because they need to feel like I'm not this ghost or I'm not this person that's bigger than life and bigger than them and everything. We must be able to interact. We must be able to talk, and in our business, that's one thing I've always said, we must be able to always just sit together in one place and have a good conversation together as humans. And I can explain to you in a humanly manner how the business would want to get the best out of you so that the business can grow, and for me, it's always been that. And the guys there are doing well, they're doing good, and it's also we're also a growing business, we have our growth points, we have our growth pains as well, and it's not easy, but we get through it.
What's your ultimate ambition for the business? Again, you're an athlete who participates and challenges at the top of the athletic world. Does that filter into the business, and what's the ultimate ambition for the business while you're there?
I think the ultimate for me and the business, I think the business, actually, we just wanted to just grow it to like one of the biggest broadcasting and streaming platforms or companies in Africa, not just South Africa. We want to be able to have a station or a platform or a team in Nigeria. We want to have a team in Kenya. We want to have a team in Botswana, in Mozambique. We want to be in all spaces in Africa, and that's where I see the company growing to. And it's a doable thing. It's something that we've looked at, and we know we can achieve it. It's just about making sure that when we're here and we're growing this here, we make it so stable and so strong that when we branch out, it catches on really quickly there, and then we were able to build it really quickly there and make sure that it has its own foundation. It has its own roots inside of the country with the people from that country.
I don't know if you ever heard it, but there is this kind of saying where people say if you are able to build a successful business in South Africa, it's way easier to take it to another country, just because the environment here, although very conducive with entrepreneurship, there's lots of challenges. So if you're able to set that foundation here, as you said, then it becomes the next step is a lot easier.
Yeah.
So beyond the broadcasting business, is there any other initiatives that you're currently involved in?
I have my foundation, the Akani Simbine Foundation. We are currently working with the My Desk organization, where we raise funds to. So My Desk is a company that manufactures desks, but it's portable desks that turn into. It's a portable bag, first of all, that turns into a desk and a chair, and we raise funds to donate to these desks, these portable desks, chairs, to schools, so that kids are able to have the portable bag with the desk and the chair, and they can take it home, and they're able to use it at home. The desk comes with a solar light that they can use if they don't have lights at home, and that is something I'm very passionate about, and it's also something that I want to grow, because there's so many kids that are not able to study well or not able to do school well. We don't think of tables and chairs when you go to our schools. You don't think of that need, and some kids don't even have that. When they go home, they don't have that. And being able to impact in that kind of life, encourages kids and gives kids that feeling of, I'm able to do this. I'm able to go home and still do my work. I'm able to go to school and still do my work. And being able to do that and give kids that opportunity is a really great thing for us, and I'm just looking forward to doing more and looking for more opportunities to give back and just, grow the younger kids, to become great South Africans and great business leaders and great whatever they want to be.
Do you know how many kids that you've impacted since the foundation got going?
Just, I don't know, for over 1,000.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Giving them the opportunity for a proper education, I think, is something incredibly important.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of, like you say, getting kids to grow up and be the Akani Simbines of the world, the business leaders, whatever they want to be.
I think it's when you're in a position that we're in, you know, I think it's very important that we give back. It's very important that we give the ones that aren't able to be in such a position the chance to actually be in that position. And for me, it's very important that we do work hand in hand with each other so that we are able to, you know, give a kid a chance, you know, give a kid an opportunity to shine and to grow and to be the best that they can be, because you don't know about that kid, if that kid will end up being the next president or the next kid or next person that develops a life-saving medication or anything, you know, and that could be something that you are part of. And yeah, man, that's how I believe it and how I see it.
You talk about people in our position. What position does or could athletics get you to? I mean, we obviously see guys at the top of the game who are set for life. Does it stem through professional athletics where you could get set for life? Are you set?
Yeah, man, you can set yourself up for life. You just have to be very smart about how you do things, you know. Don't get lost in because it's quick money. The money comes really quickly, but you just have to be very mature and very strong in yourself and knowing that if I use this money correctly, I'll be fine later on. If I use this money now and just blow it, when you retire, you're going to think about that money that you blew, you know, and it's just putting yourself in good positions for the future. Sport is a very short career, man. Once you retire from the sport, people are actually only getting solidified in their actual career, and they are growing and they're in more higher positions in their career. And that's when you're coming out of your sport, and now you need to kind of figure yourself out.
Yeah, you almost have to start again,
you know. And that's when a lot of athletes fall into, you know, depression, and they lose themselves because they don't have anything else. The track world is gone. They are no more that big icon. The world is forgetting about you, and you didn't set yourself up. You know, I am an avid believer of making sure that you set yourself up while you can in the sport.
Yeah.
So when you leave, and that is what I have done with back sports, and what I'm doing with other things that I'm also doing and in a part of.
Yeah. Like you say, I mean, you said athletics or being a sports person is a short career, but it could even be cut shorter if there's injuries involved as well. And I know that there tends to be a growing concern around that, and for sports people to actually go either study while they're playing or start their business while they're doing it. And like you said before, it wasn't a thing, and then guys would come out of it maybe too soon and then have almost nothing beyond that.
Yeah, that's true, man. I think that, you know, because as a sportsman, you kind of live in a fake world, you know, because everything is tailored for you. Everything is geared up for you to perform. Once you leave that world and you go into corporate or you just go into the real world, you see that the world is not tailored for you. It's tailored to make a business successful. It's tailored to make an organization successful, not you, you know? And it's not about you anymore. It's about a bigger cause, about a bigger organization, something bigger than you. And that is hard to accept. And a lot of the guys don't know how to accept it and are not aware of that. And when it actually hits, it's bad. Like I've researched and I looked at a lot of sportsmen that went broke and did not do well for themselves. And I always said to myself, I don't want to be like that. And that is why I work so hard now, just to make sure that when I decide to retire, that I do not become that.
So you were speaking about impact earlier, and I think it was a theme throughout the conversation. But I want to close on the point. I mean, you know, we've seen the Sprint documentary on Netflix, for example. By the way, have they ever spoken to you, the Sprint guys? Are you going to be?
Declined.
Are you there?
Hey man, Sprint, they took so many hours from us, recording us last year, and didn't show any of it.
Oh, really?
And I just felt like so disrespected by that, and it was just the thing. I was just like, okay, like you guys decided to to show a sprint about America and Jamaica, not sprint of the world.
Yeah.
And that was your edit, and there's so much to tell about sprinting. There's so much to tell about athletics. There's so much to tell about us. There's so many different countries in the lineup that you could have used to actually tell the story of sprinting, but you decided to push it to the American side, which for me was just a no-no. And I literally just said no again. This year I said no, I don't want to do it, because I just don't think you guys are gonna serve and do justice to it.
That's quite interesting. I mean, being someone who is entrenched in the broadcast space, do you think that decision was made purely because the audience is there? And, the conversation we've been having around like growing athletics in South Africa and Africa generally, they were probably like, oh, well, the audience is so small there, or something along those lines.
I don't think it's about the audience. I just think that they thought, okay, we're going to try get into the American market. You try to get the American market learning about athletics, but you're teaching them about your athletes. Athletics is a world sport. We all compete against each other on the circuit. It's not just America versus Jamaica when we run. It's all nations from all different spaces, and there are great athletes from these different countries. And the fact that they chose not to show that, they missed a very big opportunity.
But surely guys like Tebogo, for example, will become a feature now.
Yeah, he's going to be on...
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to say this, but I think he's going to be on the next... He should be on the next season. He's going to be on the next season. Yeah.
So going back on the point of the impact, so we were speaking about Noah Lyles, for example, and him kind of becoming the face of athletics globally, but also in the US. And... you really becoming that from a sprinting perspective in South Africa. I wanted to ask you what you want to use your platform for and how you'd like to leave your mark on South African athletics.
I think mine stems more out of athletics, not out of it. It stems broader than athletics. I think what I want to leave is the fact of perseverance, consistency, never giving up, always showing up and doing what you need to do. That has been my career, and I've been there. I've been at the top, I fall into the bottom, come back to the top again, and I want South Africans to actually see that it's possible to, do something at the top level, whatever it is, and consistently be there. It's just about you showing up consistently every day to make sure that you are the best that you can be in that moment, and it will pay off. I'm coming back with more medals next year.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
Come on.
We have World Championships coming next year, so going to be working hard towards that and making sure that I am in the best shape I can be. And yeah, man, and just growing myself as an individual, and and being the best person and being the best version of myself that I can be.
Olympics 2028?
Yes, sir. That is the plan, and yeah, we'll be there for sure. Everybody says, "Oh, you're gonna get retired now?" Retire? No, no chance, bro. 28 is the plan, and yeah, we'll be there.
Awesome. Akani, thanks so much for spending this time with us. We really appreciate you coming through. You're an inspiration to so many South Africans. I mean, even walking around our office, you saw how many people came out to shake your hand and celebrate you. Thanks so much for the impact that you're making. You're an inspiration to so many people, and best of luck for next year and leading up until the Olympics 2028. We'll be rooting for you from an Ozo side and just generally from a South African perspective. Thanks again.
Shout out. Thank you to Ozo and you guys for having me. And yeah, man, looking forward to coming back here and spending some time with you guys.